Welcome to Relation Tales. Please like this video and subscribe Relation Tales. We're grateful for each and every one of you. Let us know where in the world you're tuning in from. We'd love to hear from you in the comments. Let's begin. The morning sun cast a golden hue over the quiet suburb of Briarfield. On the outside, Madison Keller's life looked enviable. Brick house with flower beds that bloomed like clockwork, 2 bright daughters who had never brought home a single failing grade, and a husband, Adam, who never missed a single ballet recital or birthday. But under that polished domestic sheen was a restlessness that had been quietly smoldering for years. Madison stood at the mirror, fingers brushing against the faint lines near her eyes. At 43, she still turned heads, but lately, she noticed herself comparing her aging skin to younger women at the gym, her routine with Adam to the secret fantasies she tried to suppress. She hated the thoughts that crept in during their quiet dinners. Adam's voice became background noise, replaced by mental images of how it would feel to be desired again, ferociously, not gently. Adam loved her, there was no question. He'd cradle her face in his palms after a long day and tell her she was still the most beautiful woman he'd ever seen. But those words had started to feel like a script. Predictable. Routine. And while routine was safe began to feel suffocating. The first time she flirted back with someone wasn't planned. It was Caleb, her company's new compliance officer. Younger, sharp-jawed, and dangerously smooth. He noticed things Adam hadn't in years. The color of her nail polish. The way she wore her perfume. He complimented her before meetings, after meetings, during harmless team lunches that started feeling anything but harmless. One Friday, Caleb leaned closer while passing her the dessert menu at an office birthday party. "You know," he murmured, "you don't strike me as someone whose fire's gone out." His eyes lingered on her collarbone. That was the moment Madison's old life started to unravel, and she felt alive. She didn't sleep with Caleb that night, but she dreamed of him, and the next day, and the next. By the third week, they were meeting at an upscale hotel 30 minutes outside the city, where no one from the firm would recognize them. The first time they kissed, she cried afterward, not from guilt, but from how alive she felt. Caleb took her with a kind of hunger she hadn't felt since her 20s. It was messy, reckless, desperate, and she convinced herself she deserved it. Madison rationalized it with a kind of arrogance. "I've been loyal for 20 years. One moment of selfishness doesn't erase that." But it didn't stop at one. At home, Adam still kissed her like nothing had changed. Madison doubled down, making Adam's favorite meals, planning family outings, throwing herself into her daughter's college plans. She convinced herself it balanced out, that she was still being a good wife, a good mother, that women like her were allowed a secret or two. What she didn't know was that Adam had already seen the signs. The half-hearted kisses, the suddenly locked phone, the unexplained absences. The perfume that wasn't his gift. And the saddest part was, he didn't even get angry. He got curious. Then he got prepared. He didn't yell. He hired someone. Quietly. Efficiently. Professionally. 2 months later, Adam had everything. Photos. Videos. Texts. Hotel bills. Even recordings of phone calls. And instead of confronting her, he smiled every morning and kissed her goodbye, whispering, "I love you." Like a man slowly unscrewing the lid off a grenade. Because Adam wasn't going to shout. He was going to destroy her, perfectly, and she'd never see it coming. 3 weeks after her first night with Caleb, Madison's world was still spinning. The affair hadn't fizzled like she thought it would. It had intensified. They weren't sneaking glances anymore. They were whispering during conference calls, inventing fake client visits, using burner phones like teenagers chasing danger. The risk made her feel powerful, seductive, dangerous in a way she hadn't felt in decades. She still came home in time to cook, still played the devoted mother, still kissed Adam on the cheek like nothing was wrong. She told herself that Caleb was just a phase, one last indulgence before she returned to her old life. But something had shifted in her soul. She wasn't sure she wanted to go back. Then came the cruise. Caleb suggested it casually, as if they were 2 lovers without lives and mortgages and children. 2 weeks. Just us. Ocean breeze. No one watching. He murmured in her neck one morning, tangled in hotel sheets. Madison hesitated for days. Not because she didn't want it, but because she knew Adam would never suspect. And that made her feel invincible. She sat down across from Adam one evening after the girls had gone to bed. Her voice was low, almost trembling. I need some time. For myself. A little break. A soul reset, or whatever they call it. Adam blinked slowly. You want a break? Not a divorce. Just some space. To think. He nodded, eyes unreadable. Of course. I want you to be happy. Madison's heart clenched. Not with guilt, but confusion. She expected anger. A fight. Not quiet acceptance. He even offered to help her pack. Kissed her forehead the next morning before work. Said he hoped she'd find clarity. She didn't know he already had. That week, Adam sat down with his attorney and financial advisor. He moved fast, liquidated accounts, shifted ownership of college funds, sold stocks, created separate living trusts for his daughters, transferred half the house into their names, changed passwords, deleted joint access. By the time Madison boarded the cruise, drunk on freedom and sex, Adam had already filed divorce paperwork under a privacy seal. No scandal, no noise, just precision. Caleb, meanwhile, had promised her the world. After this, we figure out a future, he said, sipping champagne on the cruise deck. You and me. Finally free. What Madison didn't know was that Caleb's wife, Mara, had known for months. And unlike Adam, Mara didn't move in silence. She moved like a wolf. She tracked every lie, gathered receipts. And the moment Caleb set foot on that ship, Mara filed a restraining order, emptied their joint accounts, and had Caleb's belongings dumped into a rental storage unit, which she then set ablaze with a ceremonial video sent to his inbox titled Bon Voyage. Halfway through the cruise, Madison's phone stopped working. Her bank card declined. Her email was inaccessible. When she used Caleb's phone to call home, no one answered. Not her daughters. Not Adam. The return flight was silent. Caleb was too shaken. Madison too confused. The airport felt colder than usual. Her stomach dropped when she pulled into the driveway and saw the for sale sign gone, the curtains missing, and the lock changed. The house looked abandoned. She found a note taped to the garage door. If you're reading this, you're officially alone. Call Roger. Or Caleb. Or whatever lie you're living. We're not part of it anymore. Adam. Inside, the house was stripped bare. Her daughter's rooms. Empty. Kitchen. Cleaned out. Family photos gone. Only a single suitcase remained in the hallway. Hers. She dropped her knees on the hardwood. Numb. And still, she didn't cry. Not yet. That night, Caleb showed up on her porch, duffel bag in hand. Mara froze our accounts, he muttered. I lost my job. Got kicked out. We're in deep sh** team ads. Madison laughed bitterly. We? There is no we. You told me you were single. He scoffed. And you told me this was love. It was the last time they spoke face to face. Meanwhile, Adam was settling into a new apartment uptown. One with polished wood floors, 2 bedrooms, and a lease already transferred into his name. Alicia and Emily, his daughters, were adjusting well. Private tutors, therapists, new schools. They didn't ask for their mother. Not once. And Adam, he didn't want revenge. He wanted precision justice. And it was only just beginning. Madison sat in the dim living room of a temporary rental apartment. 1 bedroom, no view, furnished with a squeaky couch and silence. Her phone hadn't buzzed in days. Caleb was gone. Her daughters weren't answering. And Adam, he was invisible. Not angry. Not lashing out. Just disappeared. That terrified her more than screaming ever could. She hadn't known the depth of Adam's restraint until now. She thought he'd crumble, plead, get emotional. Instead, he vanished like a ghost, leaving behind a trail of consequences too well-crafted to be accidental. Her bank account had been frozen. Their joint account had been split and empty days before she returned. The house sale had finalized during the cruise. Every dollar she once controlled now belonged to their daughter's trust, untouchable. The car was in Adam's name. The lawyer she called informed her, with a disappointing sigh, that Adam's legal team had already filed for divorce, with supporting evidence that would make a judge shudder. In one clean motion, her world had been severed, and Adam had barely spoken a word. She was finally alone, truly alone. Desperate for answers, she dialed Alicia, her eldest. Voicemail. Then Emily. Disconnected. Her hands trembled as she typed a message. Please, I need to talk. I'm sorry. I made mistakes, but I'm still your mom. No reply. She lay in bed that night, clutching a pillow, whispering her daughter's names like prayers. Then Adam's. But he had already prayed and prepared. Adam, meanwhile, had not moved on emotionally, but strategically, he was already 3 moves ahead. He knew that pain was temporary, but trust, once shattered, changed a man. He met with Mara, Caleb's ex, in a quiet coffee shop downtown. She wore confidence like armor. Her divorce had finalized 3 days prior, and she'd gotten full custody of her son, the house, and a 6-figure settlement, courtesy of the evidence Adam had quietly passed her. I didn't expect you to reach out, Mara said, sipping espresso. I didn't expect to be in this position either, Adam replied. But I'm done reacting. I'm ready to rebuild. Thought maybe we could help each other. What are you proposing? She asked, eyes narrowing. A foundation for people like us. Good parents, loyal spouses, who were blindsided by betrayal, legal support, emotional counseling, a place where people can rise again. Mara smirked. That sounds like a revenge club. Adam shrugged. Maybe, or maybe it's redemption. They shook hands that day, and the alliance sparked something deeper in Adam. A mission, not to punish Madison further, but to ensure people like her didn't walk away with half of everything after gutting their families. He started consulting for law firms, speaking at conferences, quietly building a platform. Madison, meanwhile, tried rebuilding too, but it felt like trying to stitch silk with broken fingers. Every job application ended in rejection. Word had spread. Office gossip bloomed like weeds. People remembered, and they judged. Her new job, when she finally got one, was answering billing inquiries at a medical facility. Patients screamed at her daily. Her manager was 10 years younger and lacked patience. But Madison swallowed her pride. Her weekends were spent on online forums for women who had been caught cheating. They shared tips for co-parenting, stories of ruined lives, and bitter regrets. Madison was one of the quieter ones. She didn't post much. She just watched and waited for a message, a letter, a crack in Adam's resolve. None came until one night, while scrolling through her daughter's public college fundraiser page, she saw it, dedicated to Dad, for teaching us what a real man looks like. The photo, Adam and both girls, arms around him, smiling like their world had never shattered. That was the night Madison broke. Not loudly, not violently, just finally. She curled up on the bathroom floor and cried until her eyes dried out. The kind of cry that reaches into your ribs and shreds something ancient. Not for Caleb, not for the house, but for the years, for the love that had once been real, and the home she had traded for 2 weeks of false fire. And in the silence of that dark apartment, she realized something. Adam hadn't just left. He had erased her, and that was the most brutal revenge of all. The months that followed were ghostly. Madison moved through life like a woman underwater, hearing muffled echoes of the world she once knew but unable to reach it. Time had moved on without her. She aged faster in that apartment than she had in the last decade of marriage. She tried therapy, church, meditation, even flirted with the idea of writing a letter to Adam. But every attempt felt pitiful, like shouting into an abyss that had already closed itself off. She kept tabs on her daughters through publicly shared social posts. Alicia had joined a pre-law program. Emily, surprisingly, was now volunteering with military support groups. Both girls were thriving under Adam's care. They traveled together. They laughed without her. But Adam, he was the one Madison couldn't stop watching. She discovered, accidentally, that he had begun speaking at seminars on emotional rebuilding after betrayal. One clip went mildly viral. Adam, standing tall in a charcoal blazer, speaking not like a victim, but a man who'd turned heartbreak into a mission. Sometimes, the best revenge, he said, is becoming the person they never thought you'd become, because they assumed you'd crumble. So you build quietly, strategically, until one day, they realize they no longer exist in your world. Madison stared at her screen for an hour after watching that clip. That man, so composed, so passionate, was a stranger. Yet he was her husband once. Her Adam. The man who used to fall asleep with his head in her lap. Who once cried when Alicia was born. Who made Sunday pancakes in a ridiculous apron that said "Flip Boss." And now, he was the flip boss of divorce, a symbol of healing. She didn't recognize the man he'd become, but she understood the fire that built him, because she'd lit it. At work, she was promoted, barely. Her manager quit, and no one else wanted the role. She took it, though it meant longer hours and more responsibility for barely higher pay. Still, she needed the distraction. Caleb had vanished from her life completely. Rumor had it he was managing a parking garage 2 cities over. She didn't care to confirm, but Madison had started writing. Not memoirs. She wasn't ready to bleed on paper. Instead, she wrote short pieces about regret, about choices, anonymous essays she submitted to online magazines. One, titled, How to Break a Family in 10 Days, got shared over 500 times. No one knew it was her. Late one night, she received a message from Alicia. Just a sentence. I read your article. Madison's hands trembled. She didn't know if that was good or bad. That was you, right? She replied, yes. An hour passed. Then another message came. You hurt us. Deeply. But that article, it sounded like the mom I used to know. Thank you for not blaming Dad. We needed that. She didn't know what to say. So she just wrote back. I'm sorry. I know it's too late. It might be. But I hope it's not forever. That was the first flicker of hope she'd had in over a year. Still, Adam didn't reach out. Until her birthday. She found a package at her door. No return label. No note. Inside was a hardcover book, The Quiet Exit, Reclaiming Life After Betrayal, written by Adam Keller. She opened to the dedication page. For those who lost everything and built something better. And for the ones who gave us the blueprint through their failure. No signature. Just cold, clean words. It hurt more than hatred. But it was brilliant. Because it proved Madison no longer held space in his life. Not even enough for anger. Adam had truly moved on. Not with another woman, though rumors whispered about someone from a speaking tour. No, he moved on with purpose. With passion. With principle. His revenge hadn't been to destroy her. It had been to become untouchable, unreachable, irreplaceable, the same way she once imagined herself. 2 years had passed since the night Madison returned from that cruise to an empty house, a silent phone, and the ruins of the life she once ruled. The city around her had changed in ways she barely noticed. The trees looked taller. The neighborhood where she used to live felt like a dream someone else had. But she had changed the most. Her wardrobe was simpler now. No heels. No sultry lipstick. She didn't wear perfume anymore. She didn't flirt. Didn't chase illusions. The woman she saw in the mirror had tired eyes but cleaner hands. She had made peace with the fact that she'd broken something that would never be put back together the same way. That forgiveness, if it ever came, would be on someone else's timeline. She understood now that some doors don't swing back open, some slam, and behind them, entire lives rebuild without you. Her daughters had slowly reopened the lines of communication. Not love, not yet, but curiosity. Emily sent the occasional text. Alicia forwarded an article or two. It wasn't much, but it was enough to keep Madison from collapsing into total isolation. Then came the invitation. A white envelope, hand-addressed, arriving by courier. It was from Alicia. A graduation ceremony. University of Raleigh, class of the year. At the bottom, in neat handwriting. You don't need to come. But if you do, stay in the back. Don't approach Dad unless he approaches you. Madison stared at the letter for hours. She didn't expect kindness. But she hadn't expected inclusion, either. It was mercy. Barely. She went. Sat in the last row. Wore a gray dress. No makeup. Hair tied simply. And when Alicia's name was called, she rose and clapped, softly, quietly. Her eyes glassed with pride and grief. Then she saw him. Adam. 2 rows ahead, beaming. Dressed sharp as ever. He looked happy. Beside him sat a woman. Elegant. Mid-40s. Confident. She touched Adam's hand lightly when Alicia stepped off the stage. Madison felt her breath catch, but not from jealousy. From realization. She had once been that woman beside him, and she had given it away. After the ceremony, she didn't approach them. She waited until most of the crowd had gone. Then, she slipped out and started walking to the parking lot alone. Madison. His voice stopped her. She turned. Adam stood a few feet away, his eyes calm, unreadable, but not cold. I wasn't sure you'd come, he said. I wasn't sure I'd be welcome, she answered. He nodded. You kept your promise. That means something. They stood in silence for a moment. The sounds of celebration drifted from behind them. You did a good job with them, she said. Our girls. No, Adam replied, with a flicker of softness. We did. You were a good mother. Until you weren't. But I don't erase the good years. Her lip trembled. Do you hate me? No, he said. Hate's a full-time job. I'm too busy being free. She smiled faintly. That book, the one you sent me. I didn't write it for you. I know, but it saved me anyway. Adam nodded. I hoped it might. Another pause. Do you ever think about it? About what we had? Adam's eyes drifted to the horizon. Every day. That's the thing about pain. It teaches you more than love ever could. Madison nodded slowly. And her, the woman beside you. He smiled, genuinely. She knows everything. And she chose to love me anyway. Madison swallowed the lump in her throat. Then I'm happy for you. She turned to leave, but Adam called out once more. I forgive you, Madison. She froze. Not for you. For me. Carrying resentment's too heavy. And I'm done dragging the past behind me. She didn't reply. Couldn't. But when she got in her car, she wept one final time. Not from loss. Not from shame. But from something deeper. Closure. It didn't heal her scars, but it marked the end of bleeding. In the weeks that followed, Madison didn't chase Adam. Or the girls. Or redemption. She simply lived. Quietly. And in the silence of her solitude, she began to understand that true punishment had never been Adam's revenge. It had been her own awakening. The realization that you can lose everything by betraying the one person who would have forgiven anything, had you just been honest. That's the real tragedy. And Madison would carry it, not as a wound, but as a warning. Forever.